This is Wilson Morales from Black Women TV talking to Syreeta Singleton, showrunner of season 2 of Ratchet, which is ready to come out on Max. How are you?
I'm great. I'm excited. The show comes out tomorrow, so I can't wait for people to watch it and see how they feel. I'm gonna be all over Twitter tomorrow.
I know we've been waiting for some time, but the timing is right. The timing is right. So what are we getting this time, season 2? Obviously, as you've had time to work on it since season 1.
Yeah, I mean, so this season we have Shawna and Mia, Chastity. Our girls are back together, but this time they're on the road. So we get a little bit of Miami, but we also get some other cities. We have new characters, new music, many more adventures, and a lot more drama.
I like to think that anytime you get a season 1 of any show, it's always about introducing characters and waiting for the audience to see if they're going to gel with them. And then when you get a season 2, hopefully it's renewed early on, that tells the audience that the studio or the network is committed to the series. And knowing that, how much confidence did that give you and your writers as to how to play with these characters moving forward?
That gives us a lot of confidence. I think season 1, the show was experimental in so many ways. We told the story through largely through like social media devices. We introduced new characters, but also new actresses that hadn't been seen before. We were in a new city that hasn't really been seen on television, especially not in the way that we were showing it, like Black Miami. So much, we were trying so many things. And I think the fact that people responded to the show, enjoyed the show, it gave us permission to just kind of do our thing and not be so concerned, I think, about, whether or not it works, whether we know that the concept works, the show works, like the team that we put together, it works.
So what's more heavy into it? Are we getting more social media? Are we getting more of the characters? Are we getting more of the city?
There's a lot less social media this season. I think we use social media. It's still a part of the show, of the fabric of the show, but we lean on it a little less. We like to think that we're kind of taking a more behind the scenes look this season, whereas last season, you're on social media. It's about the things that the characters want to put out there, what they want people to think about who they are. And now it's like, now we're in the nitty gritty. It's like, here's when the cameras aren't rolling and no one's watching, the things that people don't want people to know, like we get to have a more up close look at our girls and the music industry, really.
How much does social media play into how you wanted to change or do more for any of the characters? Obviously, when you see what works and what doesn't work, does that inform you or the writers, or you guys already had a game plan set?
For social media, it doesn't. Social media doesn't. And when you say social media, do you mean
when they see you like you said, you look at the tweets, the comments to see who's likable, who's not, what's working, what's not. Does that go into play into
No.
writers coming into season 2?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. I mean, I think for me, when I'm looking at the comments, I'm looking for what are people picking up on? Are people responding to it? But when it's time to tell the story again, like which we, had with going into the season 2 writers' room, there's no more Twitter. We're not looking at Twitter anymore because we don't allow that to like drive storytelling. I don't think we'd be able to like really tell stories from an authentic place if we were too wrapped up in like what other people wanted to see. We kind of find it on our own.
And for yourself, you've worked on other projects, but you're now 2 seasons in. How have you evolved in the role that you're playing for the series?
Yeah, I think I've become a more confident leader in the sort of storytelling in the team that I've put together. One thing about the show is it's very unique, and because it's unique, it's very current, it's of the now. It didn't call for your traditional writers. Like, it calls for writers who understand social media, who are fans of hip hop, who understand, a very specific culture, and traditionally we're not always in all of those writers' rooms in those spaces. And so the team that I put together it was specific. And I'd love to give a shout out to Kid Fury, who had his podcast, The Read. incredible podcast, and he's reviewing and talking shit about pop culture week to week. And it was just like, and he's also a very talented writer, but this was his first like official writing job, and he's killed it, crushed it. One of the greatest choices, but it was making like decisions like that to put people like him on staff, who can speak to it in an out of the box kind of way. And so everything about the show has just been really out of the box, the way we've put it together, and I think it works.
But the characters, like you think about any show, no one's a goody two shoes. No one likes to see that. There's always got to be a flaw, and you always have to balance it because we don't want to say that one is better than the other. They each have their flaws. Does that go into the thinking, obviously, on balancing out the episodes, like as far as showing the highs and lows of each one of them?
Yes, it does. It does, and I think sometimes we have to answer your question, yes, like all characters are flawed, right? And as our people, we're all flawed individuals, and no one's all bad. No one's, an angel. Like people have their different motivations and intentions. And the hope is that you always understand, even when they're acting bad, that you understand where it's coming from, right? But yes, we have times where it is like, ooh, I think people, okay. And so to backtrack a little bit, because people were angry at Shawna at the end of last season. And so that was something that we did have in mind. When we were telling this story this season, is like, how do we stay true to her journey, but also redeem her just a little bit? Like, so if anything, it was like, okay, maybe you need to understand her a little bit more, and then also put her in some positions where she can grow. So that was something that I had in mind, and something that we tried to balance. And I think we'll have moments where we have a script or we're looking at it, and one of the writers speaks up and is just like, I think we beat this character up too much, or I think that she going through too much. I don't want to see another like, I don't want to see one more thing happen to this person, or one more thing,
You don't want to read like she's too messy,
yes,
what is going
yes,
on.
yes. And I think, and that happens, and we try to check ourselves. So it's like, okay, how many of us agree? We agree that we went too far. All right, so let's take another look at it. And that's one thing is, we take several bites at the apple, you know what I mean? Until we feel like we've got it in the right place. So there's lots of eyes and lots of notes and opinions that go into like what you finally see on screen.
With the new characters you got coming in, how are you layering that out? Yeah, obviously we already know who the central characters are, but then the show's an ensemble. Every character, there's not a one-off. Some of them come back, and we're trying to see where they're going with their characters. How does that work out? In trying to balance out with the tone of the show.
Yes, there are other characters. We have Francois Boom, Raina Rain. We also have the new the act that they're on tour with, Lord AK, his entourage. And I think we and there's such fun characters to write for. But we do have to, find what in their personal stories, these other characters, what then ties back into the motivation for Shawna and Mia. Like, how is this hindering them? How is this helping them grow? And I think as long as it leads back and it's still fun, then it's something that we can keep. But yeah, so we try to make sure that we stay true to like the main point and goal, which is Shawna and Mia, these women trying to make it in the industry and trying to figure out who they are. So all the stories just kind of have to support that narrative.
For those who haven't seen season 1 and they're now catching up, the season 2 is going to start, and it's going to start obviously later than expected. What's the good sell in terms of watching the show? Obviously, there's the title, and it's like, okay, it's about these two girls from Miami trying to make it into the rap world. Is there more to that than what I'm saying?
I think it's also a coming of age story. It's a story about Black women friendship. It's a story about having dreams and like figuring out how to create a dream from scratch. And it's also just really fun. It's fun, and it's Black, and there's lots of friendship, lots of laughs, relationship drama. It has a little bit of crime to it sometimes, if that's your thing, if you're into that. I really feel like it checks a lot of boxes, and it has really good music.
Can you talk about the music we're going to see in season 2?
Yeah. So we have, let's see. So we have new artists who are featured this season, new characters who have their own music. We have a lot of original music. The Rap Shit soundtrack is out right now, by the way, and it's so good. It's really, really good. It's out on all streamers on all streaming services. And let's see, we have Shawna and Mia have a remix with Rain to Rain, Shawna's Shawna's Nemesis. And we have a new single from the girls that are coming. You have to wait and watch and see when that comes up. We've got some freestyles along the way. Yeah, just lots of new music this season.
Mhm. And so obviously, I like to think that, because of the success of Insecure, we're going to get a season 3. We just got to wait and see. We don't like to say 2 and
Oh, no.
done. We're going to have more.
Right.
So when you're talking with the writers, are you guys holding back on how you're going to flush out these characters, knowing hopefully we're going to go moving forward?
No, we have not. Like, as a team, we haven't discussed it yet. I'm not superstitious, but maybe a little bit. Like, I try not to count my chickens before they hatch. You know what I mean? It's just like it's just always wait and see. It's one day at a time. It's God willing. So I hope that we do get to tell more seasons or have more seasons of this show and continue to tell this story.
Hey, I've watched some of the episodes. I'm looking forward to seeing the rest of it. Congratulations on the season 2.
Yeah.
Let's make it happen. Obviously, I'll tell the world, obviously, that it's coming out. So that way, sometimes, like, we have too much product now, between cable and streaming. And if you want to go to the theaters and so forth, it's not a question of whether or not it's good or bad. It's about letting people know it is out there. Because if people don't catch up on it by the first 2 episodes, before you know it, there's 20 more series that's coming out that people don't know about.
Right, exactly. And I think also given the strike and
Yes.
the fact that the actors aren't able to promote themselves, like,
It's all on you, girl.
it's all, look, it's me, it's Issa, and it's you. It's
Mostly
all.
you, girl. Issa's got to play both roles, so she could be like, I don't know, but it's all on you. So you're making it happen. We're gonna make it happen. We'll talk down the road. Season 3. Let's make it happen.
Yes. Thank you
Take
so much.
care.
Thank you.